Welcome back, Renegades. Today we have the deck profile for Green, Purple Limb, and OP10 Meta. We'll also have some bonus gameplay there at the end of the deck profile. All matches will be timestamped in the description. If you have not subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel grow. If you like the content, your friends may as well. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be doing the deck profile for Green, Purple Limb. It got some updates in OP10. This was an OP9 leader, 5K leader with 4 life. With the Odyssey type, your characters enter play as rested. With Activate Main, once per turn, you may rest 3 of your Dawn. Set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested, and then you can play a cost 5 or lower Odyssey type character from your hand. Our deck's full of Odyssey characters, so it definitely helps keep the leader ability online. Our top end here, we got 3 copies of Audio from OP9. It's a 9-drop, 9,000 power, no counter. On play, if your leader has the Odyssey type, set up to 3 of your Dawn as active, which she does. And then opponent's attack, once per turn, you can use one of those rested Dawn. You can rest it to give a leader or character 2,000 power for the battle. So it's this extra 2k option by utilizing your Dawn. Good card. We're going to run 4 copies of Sabo. This is from OP09 as well. It's a 5-drop 6k with a 1k counter. It has 1 attacking once per turn. If you have 3 or more rested characters in play, you get the draw card. So this is going to help you, because you got a lot of 1Ks in the deck, this is going to help you keep your hand healthy. This has the Odyssey and the Revolutionary Army type, so Odyssey is the key word here. Running 4 copies of our Sanji from OP09. Odyssey Straw Hat, 5-drop, 6,000 power, 1k counter. This one has a little bit of a graveyard recursion for us. On KO, you may put the top or bottom life into your hand, and then you get to play a 4 cost or lower with Odyssey or Straw Hat type from your trash into play as rested. So we do have some Straw Hat that are Odyssey as well. So this is the way to get maybe back a blocker or a searcher. It comes in rested. So not a bad little card. Like, one of the best cards in the deck, my opinion, is the Doflamingo from OP09, the 5/6 1k counter with blocker. End of your turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, you get to set this character as active, which is really good because you can use him aggressively by chipping in for 6 or putting a couple Dawn on, going 7, 8k into life, and then having it ready to block on your opponent's turn. Great card. Running 4 copies here of Don Quixote Rosinante from OP09. Kind of the same concept as his brother Doflamingo. It's a 3/4 with a 1k counter. It has blocker. So his ability is a little different though. When opponent attacks once per turn, you can set him as active. So he's kind of rough when you cheat him out early, because your opponent will try to pressure him down because he's rested. It's like he's a legal target for the attack. He gets to ready, but he's still the target. So you can sometimes get away with countering out, or sometimes you just got to give him up early. Either way, you can bring him back with the Sanji if needed. So that's always a good synergy here. One of the 2Ks we're running in the deck is Ace from OP09, Odyssey type, 5/5, 2K counter. And on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, you get to rest up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. Most of the time, he's just going to be a 2k in hand, but he does give you some utility if needed. Maybe resting down a blocker in order to try to go for game. Running 4 copies here. We're running 2 copies of Monkey D. Luffy from OP09. He's Odyssey and Straw Hat, as well as Supernova. He's a 5/6 with a 1k counter. With on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's cost 6 or lower characters, or up to one of your opponent's Dawn and rest it. Most of the time when he comes down, you're going to be resting like a character, like a blocker, or something you can swing into. Against certain decks, like red maybe, or yellow, or maybe even purple, resting that Dawn may come in handy, as maybe getting him off an event counter. We're only running 2 copies here. It's not a bad card. This is kind of the card that holds the deck together, finding you the pieces you need. It's our 3-drop Limb from OP09, 5k power, no counter. It's on play. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You get to get 1 card with Odyssey other than Limb, and then put the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. And at the end of your turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters in play, you get to set her as active. So when you go to your end phase, you got to sync the way you're resolving your end of turn effects, because some of them, like Doflamingo, you have to have 2. This one you need 3. There's another one that you need a set amount for as well. So you just got to make sure you're doing them in order to get the max protection at the end of your turn. I tried one of these new gates here from OP10. This is a new card we got with the new set. A little bit of support here. It's a 5/6 with a 1k counter. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to rest up to one of your opponent's characters of 5 cost or less. and then you get to KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters of 3 or less. I only ran 1, but after testing, I think this card should definitely go up to at least a 2, maybe even 3. It's a pretty good card. He got me in one of the gameplays. You'll see, if not in this video, the next one, where I'm talking about this card came in clutch. 1 copy for now, but I think he definitely has room to increase the numbers in this deck. Another 2K for the deck, we're running Nami from OP10, so we did get another 2K for the deck. It's a 2-drop, 2000 power, 2K counter. On play, if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey type characters, up to one of your opponent's rested Dawn will not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. This is good against Shanks, Blackbeard, where they want to get to their 10 drop to drop their namesake card, and if you can take them off a turn, it can be make or break for you. Most of the time at 2K, certain matchups, this card's going to help you keep your opponent off their 10 Dawn turn, just one more turn for you to get through. Main thing that we got in OP10 that made this deck extremely viable. So definitely, it's not. I don't expect this deck to like top a national event or a really big event. I think at your locals, you could probably sneak out some wins and get maybe first place at locals. I could see this deck with more tuning, getting maybe a top 8 in some bigger events. It's just with Lim's ability of everything coming in rested, you gotta definitely protect your board. So this card here helps kind of mitigate that. So 1-drop, 0 power, 1K counter with the Odyssey type Lim. So it's not searchable off of the searcher, but a lot of times I'll mulligan for this card just because it's so important to the function of the deck. Once per turn, if this character were to be removed from the board by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest one of your Odyssey characters. At least on the Sims, because we haven't had them in paper yet, this allows you to rest itself. At the end of your turn, you may set up to one of your Odyssey type characters as active. So we have a lot of characters that can set themselves as active, but there's a lot that can't. So this card makes it a little bit easier with our leader effect, putting them into play rested. We can get them standed in the earlier game. Great card. This card right here made me even want to revisit Lim in 010 because 09 it was fun. It's a fun deck. It's very hard to get wins against a lot of the meta leaders. We're gonna run 2 copies here of Rono Azoro from OP10. This is a new card we got. He's a 5/6. He's a 1K counter. I just tried him out. Opponent's turn. If you have 2 or more rested characters, he gains 2000 power. When I initially built the deck, I was thinking about him as far as like a way to kind of protect a little bit with our leader effect coming in rested. As I played a lot of matches, this one became more of just a 1K in hand. Like I said, with Newgate, it has became very good. So I could see the Zoro maybe coming out completely and maybe adding Newgate. There is other cards in OP10 that we got. We got an Enel, which is actually pretty good. Like you could either maybe cut the Luffys and the Zoros and maybe go up some Enel or up some Newgate and maybe add some Enel in there. Options. These are promos here. I'm not sure when we're going to get these in North America, but I ran them in the deck because they're good. Their 2K counter here audio is promo number 078. It's a 4/5 with 2K, Odyssey type. If you have 2 or more Odyssey type rested characters, this character gains 1000 power. This is a static effect, so it doesn't matter if it's your turn, your opponent's turn. If you got 2 or more rested, he's a 6K for 4. So worst case, 2K in hand. I won't probably be able to test this deck out in paper until I get my hands on some of these promos, when and if we get them released. Next card is the same concept. This is promo 079. This is Lim from Odyssey, so we can't find it with our searcher, but it's a 2-drop, 0 power, 1K counter with blocker, so it's in a cheap block. End of your turn, if you have 2 or more Odyssey type rested characters, you can set this character as active. Kind of the same thing with our other blockers here. It's probably the weakest blocker, but it was just another cheap, 2-drop blocker that if we didn't get Razanati early, we could potentially draw this, go, 1, and then get this out. But yeah, it's a good card. So we're running 2 copies of Gum Gum Dragonfire Pistol Twister Star from OP10. This is the search event for the Odyssey archetype. It's a 3-drop main. If your leader has the Odyssey type, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 2 character cards with the Odyssey type, and add them to your hand. Then put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I like using these to either find my blockers, if I'm, getting to mid to late game and I'm getting swarmed up, or if I have play it early, I'll try to grab some 2Ks just to kind of build a little healthy hand protection. It does have trigger, so rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost 5 or less. This is relevant in one of the games that I played. It's either in this video or the next one where that trigger came in clutch. That was pretty cool. It does have Odyssey, Supernova, and Straw Hat Pirate. Definitely some options, but Lim's pretty fun. Full disclosure, I have probably played 10 games against Shanks, and I just cannot clutch a win with, at least with this version, against Shanks. So Shanks is extremely bad for this deck. I don't know. I'm a Shanks player, so I know how to play against Shanks. But Lim struggles a lot because they just get that top end so fast that our top end just can't compete with it. Alright, that wraps it up for the deck profile. Let's get into some gameplay. Here we have Lim versus Purple Luffy. We choose to go first here. So we're going to get a Dawn, just passing it over to the opponent. Opponent gets their 2 Dawn, passing it back. We're at 3 Dawn here. We're going to just go 5 into life. We're going to counter out. We're going to use our leader effect to ramp a Dawn and play out a Sabo. Passing it back over to the opponent, they play down a Zorojoro. They take a life to get a Dawn, and they're going to pressure 7 into life. We're going to take this back to us. We're going to drop down the 1-drop Lim here. We're going to go use our leader effect here to put down a Doflamingo blocker. 1 onto our Sabo, swinging 7 into life, drawing a card. Opponent takes this hit. We're going to put 1 on leader, pressuring 6. They counter out. We just pass it back. Using our end of turn effects, we're going to ready some characters on the field. Opponent's going to play down their Luffy Taro into a Sangoro. You're going to swing 4 with a Zorojoro just to gain a Dawn. Opponent's going to put 1 on their leader, pressuring 6 into the Sabo. We're going to counter out. They just pass it back over to us. We're going to put 1 on our Doflamingo. We're going to pressure 7. We're going to go into life here. They counter out. We're going to use our search event here. We're going to grab a Razanati and a 2-drop Limb blocker. Using leader effect here, we're going to put down our ace, resting the Sangoro. Putting 2 onto our Sabo, we're going to pressure 8 into that Sangoro. They're going to use a Gum Gum Giant here to counter out. And we got a 5k swing here. We're just going to pressure into that Zorojoro. They're going to counter out here. We're just going to pass it back. Using our end of turn effects, we're going to ready some characters. Opponent's going to go 6 with a Sangoro into our rested ace. We're going to counter out here. We're going to play down Usahachi to rest down our 1-drop Limb and then take it out. They're going to go 5 into life into the ace. We're going to counter. Playing down a character. They're going to take a life here to ramp a Dawn. And they're going to pressure 7 into that rested ace. We're going to counter out again. Back over to us. We're going to put 4 onto our ace here, pressuring 9 into life. They take this hit. We're going to put the remaining Dawn up on Doflamingo. And we're going to pressure 12. Opponent tries to counter out, but we get it. Here we got Lim versus Lucci. Opponent chooses to go second. We just get a Dawn. Pass it over to the opponent. Opponent's at 2 Dawn. They're going to play down a Spandam, and they get a Spandine. Passing it back over to us, we're going to go 5 into life with our leader. They're going to counter out. Using leader effect here to ramp a Dawn, we're going to put down our Doflamingo blocker. Pass it back over to the opponent. Opponent's going to put 4 on their leader, pressuring 9 to that rested Dofi. We're going to counter out and save it here. Opponent passes it back over. We're going to put 1 on Doflamingo and pressure 7 into life. Opponent takes this hit. We're going to put 2 on our leader, pressuring another 7k hit. Opponent counters out of this hit here. We're going to use leader effect to ramp a Dawn, and we're going to put down a rested Sanji. Passing back over to the opponent, Doflamingo readies. Opponent's going to play down a Sabo, drawing 2 and trashing 2, making their characters immune from KO. 6 with leader into our Sanji, giving the Doflamingo -1. We're going to give it a counter. Opponent passes it back over to us. We're going to put 3 on Doflamingo. We're going to pressure 9k into life here. Opponent takes the hit. We're going to put 2 onto our Sanji, pressuring 8 into life. They're going to use the blocker and then counter out, keeping their blocker alive. We're going to put 1 on our leader, pressuring 6 into that rested Sabo. They're going to counter out. We're going to use leader effect here, just putting down a rested Sabo and passing the turn. Doflamingo readying itself. They're going to put 2 on their leader here, pressuring 7k into that rested Sanji, giving our Sabo -1. We're going to use the on-KO effect from Sanji to get an audio back rested. They're going to use a couple Tempest Kick here, giving our Doflamingo and our Sabo -4 and -3. Using the Rob Lucci on play effect, getting rid of our characters. Passing it back over to us. We're going to play down our 9-drop audio, readying 3 Dawn. We're going to use our leader effect here. We're going to just use our Newgate and rest that blocker. We're going to use our audio and swing 6 into life. Opponent's going to counter out here. We're going to go 5 into life with our leader. We're just going to pass the turn over to the opponent, leaving 1 Dawn open. They're going to use their Rob Lucci character to pressure that rested audio. We're going to counter out here. They're going to use Ice Age on our big audio, giving it -5. And then Tempest Kick, they're going to give it a total of -8. They're going to play down a Gecko Moria here with a Rebecca and a Suru, giving additional -2 to our little audio. They're going to bring Spandine back from the trash with Rebecca. Play Spandine using the on-play effect. Assuming they're going to try to... Nope, they just passed the turn here. and scooped it up. Here we have Lim versus Dofy. Opponent chooses to go second. We're going to play out our 1-drop Lim, using its end of turn effect to ready it. Passing over, they're going to play down a Perona, placing cards on top of their deck, and passing it back to us. 3 Dawn here. We're just going to go 5 into life with our leader. They take the first hit. We're going to use leader effect here, ramping a Dawn. And we're going to put down our 3-drop Limb Searcher. We're going to grab a Doflamingo blocker, and passing it back over to the opponent. Using our end of turn effects, we're going to remedy our board. Opponent's going to play down a Jinbei into a Boa, giving their leader Arrested Dawn, swinging 6 into life. We're going to take this hit. Opponent passes back to us. We're going to put 1 on our Limb Searcher, go 6 into life. Opponent's going to counter out. We're going to put 2 on our leader. We're going to pressure 7 into life. Opponent's going to take this hit. We're going to use our Limb Leader effect. We're going to play down the Doflamingo blocker, ending the turn using our end of turn effects to ready our board. Opponent's going to play down a Jinbei into the 4-drop Law, bouncing back their Perona and our 3-drop Searcher. Opponent's going to put 2 on their leader, pressuring 7 into life here. We're going to give it a 2k and a 1k. Opponent passes it back. We're going to put 2 on our Doflamingo here. We're going to pressure 8 into life. Opponent's going to use their blocker this time. 1 on leader, attacking 6 into life. Opponent's going to counter out here. Using Lim's effect, we're going to put down another Doflamingo blocker, and we're going to play out a Rosinati blocker. End of turn effects, we're going to ready our board. Opponent's going to replay their Perona here, putting cards at the bottom of their deck. 2 on leader, going 7 into life. We're going to take this hit. They're going to put 4 on their Jinbei, pressuring 9 into our life here. We're going to use our Rosinati blocker. Opponent's going to pass it back to us. We're going to put 1 on Doflamingo, pressuring 7 into life. They're going to take this hit. We're going to put 2 on our other Doflamingo, pressuring 8 into life. They take this hit. We're going to use our search event here, just trying to find some more answers. We're going to get a couple more blockers. Use leader effect here. We're going to play down another Doflamingo blocker, putting 1 on our leader, pressuring 6 into that rested Jinbei. They give that to us. We just pass it back. Using end of turn effects, we're going to ready our board. Opponent's going to play down a Mihawk here. Nope, they actually had Mihawk from last turn. They're going to pressure 7 into life with their Mihawk, drawing 2, trashing 2. We're going to use our blocker, countering out. 2 onto the Law. They're going to pressure 7 into life. We're going to take this hit. We're going to put 2 on Jinbei, pressuring 7 into life again. Use our blocker and just counter out. They're going to play down a Boa blocker, giving they put cards atop their deck, and then they're going to give their leader a Rested Dawn. Leader's going to go 6 into life. We're just going to use our blocker and counter. Back over to us. We're going to deploy down our Searcher Limb. We're going to grab that Newgate. We're going to play out the Newgate here. It was a slight misplay because we have to have multiple rested characters to do that. Kind of unfortunate. But we're going to put 1 on Doflamingo, pressuring 7, and opponent scoops it up. Here we have Lim versus Blackbeard. We choose to go first here. Just going to get a Dawn, play down our 1-drop. Lim here, using our end of turn effect. We're going to ready it. Back over to the opponent. 2 Dawn for them. They're going to use a search event to get a Kuzan from OP10. They're going to use another search event here to get their stage. Passing it back over to us. We're going to go 5 into life with our leader. Opponent takes this hit. We're going to use leader effect to ramp a Dawn. We're going to deploy out a Lim 3-drop searcher. I'm going to grab a 2k ace here. Just going to pass it back over to the opponent using our end of turn effects. Ready our board. Opponent's going to deploy their stage here, using their stage to get an OP10 Liberation. The new one. They're going to play down a Doc Q here. Put 1 on their leader. They're going to pressure 6 into life here. We're just going to give them a 2k. Opponent passes it back. They did use their leader effects, so we can't use any on play. We're going to pressure 6 with our 3-drop Limb. They take this hit. We're going to go 5 into life here with our leader. They're going to counter out. We're going to deploy down our 2-drop blocker. Using leader effect, we're going to put down Monkey D. Luffy. End of turn, we're going to ready some of our stuff. Just going to ready the board here. They're going to use their Liberation here to remove 2 of our characters off the field. They're going to get rid of our 3-drop Limb and our Luffy. They're going to attempt to use the Doc U here to remove the 1-drop. We're just going to rest the 1-drop, and then they're going to pressure 5 into it with leader. We're going to use our blocker here, keep it alive. They're going to use their stage, get another Liberation, it looks like. Opponent passes it back over to us. We're going to pressure 5 into that rested Doc Q with leader. Opponent gives it up. Going to deploy down to Sanji. Going to use leader effect here, ramping it down, putting down the 2-drop blocker here. End of turn effects, we're going to ready our board. Opponent's going to use their Liberation again, this time getting rid of our 2-drop and our Sanji. Use Sanji's KO effect to bring the Searcher back rested. We're going to grab a Doflamingo blocker here. 2 on leader. We're going to pressure 7 into our rested limb character. We're going to counter out and save this. They use their stage here to get a Basco shot. They did shut off our on play, passing it back over to us. We're going to go 5 with our limb character. Opponent's going to counter out. We're going to go another 5 with our leader. They take this hit. We're going to deploy down our 9-drop audio. We don't get the end of turn effect, so we're just going to ready the audio with our 1-drop limb. Opponent's going to pressure 5 into the 3-drop limb. We're just going to counter out. Here comes the 10-drop teach. They're going to nullify our leader and stop our big 9-drop audio from attacking. And then they shut off our on-play effects as well. We're going to put 7 on the 3-drop limb, pressuring 12 into life. They're going to take this hit. We're just going to go 5. They use their blocker as intended. Leader effect here. We're going to play down our Doflamingo. Using our end of turn effects, we're going to ready our board. Opponent's going to play down another 10-drop teach. Using its activate main, they're going to prevent our audio from attacking again. They're going to use their stage here, getting us 2k stronger. Passing it back over to us. Opponent's at 1 life, so our big guy can't attack, but we do have some attacks here coming. We're going to put 5 on our 0-drop. 0 power, just pressuring 5, forcing card out of hand, forcing them to use a blocker. They're going to give us the counter here. We're going to put 1 on our 3-drop limb, pressuring 6. This way, if they want to use counter out of hand, they're going to have to use a 2k, which they do. We're going to put 1 on our leader, pressuring 6 again. We're going to use their blocker. We're going to attack 6 again with our Doflamingo. We're going to use the blocker. And now we're just going to use leader effect here. We're going to drop down a Sanji. Using our end of turn effects here, we're going to ready our board. The Sanji will stay rested. Using their stage here, they're going to get a Doc Q. They're going to play down Doc Q. They're going to rest it to attempt to get rid of our 1-drop limb. We're just going to use and rest the limb itself. Pressuring 5 into it. We're going to give them the 6k block. See if they want to force to swing their 10-drop blockers or not. They're going to drop down another Vasco. And then they're going to drop down a Judas Burgess. 1 card in hand, 3 blockers. So we're just going to go chip in here. We're going to go 5 with the 3-drop limb. Opponent's going to counter out of this hit. We're going to go 5 again. This time they'll have to use a blocker or give us a life. They're going to use their block. We're going to do it with Sanji, 6. Same thing, give us a blocker or take the life. They use a blocker. We're going to go Doflamingo, 6. Same concept. Use your blocker, give us a life. Opponent's going to take the life here. We're going to pressure 9 with audio. This is going to force them to use their block. And we're going to put the remaining Dawn on our 1-drop, and opponent scoops it up. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you have not subscribed, please do so. It definitely helps the channel grow. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.